I would probably lean towards calling because I'm probably just calling whatever river apart from like an ace king, maybe a queen. Usually when people are betting on that boards, they are just bluffing after they threw that because they tend to just have like king queen or something. They're just like, I will keep betting because bet, and that's kind of their thought process.
Yeah.
Whereas if they do have aces, they're like, oh god, he might have a straight.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, shoving seems fine.
Well, I just thought like I'm only getting called by better, and then I'm folding out his bluffs.
I wouldn't put it past him to call with flush draws there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, maybe against like a more competent player, that would be a terrible line. But
yeah, but also like if they have a hand like aces or kings, then I don't think they often pay attention to board textures and stuff.
That is true. They're probably also calling that. And this guy just open shoves. No, we did get some practice with it. Nice.
Yeah.
I want to know what they had. Damn it. Good call. So yeah, we'd take a 70-30 in those spots. Okay, let's keep flicking through. So I'm not using this.
Oh, this is an interesting. Hold on.
How do you remember this?
I wrote it down.
Oh, cool. Nice.
I've got quite good memory as well.
Yeah, I my memory for poker hands is insane. My memory for other stuff is.
Other stuff doesn't matter though.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting. Okay, so what are your thoughts on this when it checks to us? I assume.
Well, it doesn't check to us.
Oh, interesting.
Because this guy bets and he limps free, and then I read. So here, So if this was live, I would have more time to think about it, obviously. But when you're online, I'm not used to like being beeped at all the time and told to hurry up. I actually want to raise this. My thinking is that we have better pocket pairs than him. I mean, I'm just thinking like theoretically though, so maybe I should be thinking more exploit. But I was thinking like I don't think he has an 8 here. Like it's very unlikely, and also I think he would, check raise or whatever, or slow play it. But I just thought I just want to charge for protection, basically, more of a protection thing.
What kind of hands do you think he's leading in?
Like ace X, or maybe like twos. Like any worse, like 2s to 6s.
Yeah, who calls them twos? That's so funny. I've got my pocket twos. Yeah, it's that's pretty much what I think. Like majority of his ranges, because first of all, fish love to limp call pocket pairs, and second of all, it will make sense if pocket threes is like, oh, I'll probably have the best hand. I've got a full house, so I don't want them to hit another card. So I would assume most of their ranges like deuces through 9s, maybe, but more deuces through 6s.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. Probably never an 8, and then the occasional just like Jack 10 spaz out. You can never underestimate the spaz equity.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, you don't actually have too much to protect against because they're drawing dead against your hand, apart from drawing to a weird chop. So you do have to protect against the scare card coming out. So if any card comes out above a 7, it might look like you could have hit a full house to them, and they might end up putting way less in than they could have with just the flop. So I'm definitely behind raising here. I would say that when I was hearing you say your reasons for doing so, and it might just be because we're on a call and you're not used to articulating it in this manner, there were quite a few messy thoughts going on all at once.
Yeah.
And how do you feel? Okay, let me rephrase this. When I'm playing these hands, if I'm playing like live cash or if I'm playing online sit and goes against significantly worse player, my thought process is, what is their range, and how do I exploit that with the current hand that I have?
Yeah.
And maybe against slightly better players, I'll be like, and what range do I look like?
Yeah.
Probably against this kind of player, you don't even need to be thinking about what kind of hands you look like.
Yeah.
Like maybe if you shove, he might end up hero folding like 3s or something. But apart from that, people aren't really at this level. They're not even thinking like, oh, he might have aces. You know, they're just thinking, I've got a full house. Cool.
Yeah, of course.
So how do you feel your thought process is when you're playing against bad players? Do you feel like sometimes you do kind of fare into the theoretical realms? You're like, oh, I should do this with this kind of hand, and you know, I should be balanced in this kind of spot, or do you feel like it is kind of streamlined?
I think it's pretty streamlined. I'm not great at articulating maybe when I'm asked questions. I think that's probably more what it is. Well, depends. Like you can just hear. I think I'm pretty streamlined. Yeah, I think my first thought is, what are they doing this with? And most of the time, like you said, I don't think they're thinking about what I have. Like, we're so uncapped here. Like, why would they donk into someone that could have aces, for example?
Good point.
So that's what made me favour the raise. Definitely.
Cool. So given that information, and we'll test your streamlined thoughts on a different hand. Given that information, what kind of size would you raise?
So he bet like just under half pot here. I would probably go. I'd probably just 3x this. 450.
Yeah, I'd probably min raise, to be honest.
Okay.
Just really make sure he's not going to fold. And
do that live.
Live, it depends. Like, you probably have a better intuition for this than me because I don't play too much low stakes live, although I have played quite a lot recently. How strong do you think people perceive min raises in these kind of spots?
I think regs notice it more.
Yeah.
I think recreational players who min raise, they don't see how strong that looks to good players. It's very rare you see a min raise and it's not nutted. But you don't see them that often, to be honest.
Agreed.
You never really min raise bluffs live.
Yeah. The min raise is
size up live.
The min raise is one of the most underutilized plays, I think, against recreational players. It's really, really handy on flops, on turns, on rivers, just in loads of different spots. It's something to keep in mind. The other one is the overbet. So like, definitely worth considering just shoving in this kind of spot against again online. Probably not in that tournament. I'd say it doesn't feel to me like someone would just, even the spazzy people would just go with like sixes in a tournament when they're actually looking. They have to like show down their hand and be like, yeah, I'm drawing dead, obviously. But I think when they're just playing like a $1.50 singo, you can definitely get away with shoving here, and it wouldn't be bad. Although I'd probably lean towards min raising. So we call, I assume.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
I carry on betting. I bet quite small.
Yeah, you got it. You got to bet small, because if you bet small, you get called by small hands, and we think he's got a small hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you were.
And then the ace, and he jams.
He jams? The hell? I guess.
And, yeah, I walk off into the night. Thank you, dealer.
Tip your hat to him.
Yeah, you got me there, sir.
Yeah, I wonder what it is, but I wonder what he had. Huh. See, usually I'd say cool because he's not repping anything, but for him to be bluffing, he would either need to have something like 10-9, something stupid, or he would need to have deuces that are turned into a bluff. And people don't usually turn, like, these kind of players don't usually turn made hands into bluffs.
I also see a lot from recreational players. They will, out of position, they will lead rivers because they're so scared that you're going to check and they'll lose value.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good to know. Obviously not opening this, but what would you open in terms of like?
Oh goodness,
like
no.
7-6 suited.
Oh, you've gone again.
Would you open like 7-6 suited?
From mid position, I'd probably wait to hijack.
In this exact spot. Yeah, I would probably open 7-6 suited. It's probably like the worst hand I'd open. If I were you.
Do you have a limping range?
Yeah, for sure. Like if I had something like Jack 10 suited here, or I had pocket deuces, something along those lines.
Oh right, you wouldn't raise Jack 10.
Probably not on this exact spot. Usually I would. But if you get 3-bet, you have to fold versus basically all of these stacks because your edge is just so big in the tournament.
Yeah.
So hands that you really want to play, but if you get 3-bet, you have to fold. Then yeah, just go with it. Go with your limp call. Play weak.
Okay. Lovely.
And I think the main thing is just to be real confident about what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, just be like, yeah, I'm proud I'm limping. So I see a lot of players not doing it, or if they do it and they have to let limp fold, they look kind of sheepish. And I think that sets a really bad energy for the table.
I see, yeah. But you don't see a lot of, yeah, I don't see that a lot, to be honest. Well, sometimes you'll get the, like there's like 5 limpers and then you isolate and then everyone folds and it cuts to last limper who like looks at his cards and then like looks at you and it's like, hurry up and fold, mate.
I'm considering my options.
Yeah,
okay, I fold.
Yeah, and they're like, "I'll let you have this one."
Yeah. That's the beauty about playing low live stakes cash. So you get a true mix of people.
Yeah.
So let's talk about defending for a bit.
Oh yeah, okay.
So are we defending this?
Yes.
Yeah. So just for people watching, there's also antes in the pot as well. So we're getting something like 6-1 on our call. 7-1.
Yes,
and I would say it's real close actually with Jack 9 here. I would probably lean towards a fold because if they are playing normal-ish ranges, then you're going to be dominated pretty often. It's actually way better to call like 6-2 suited here than it is Jack 9 off.
Okay. Why is that?
Just because you're not dominated as much and you're flush draw, you get to actually play hands. You don't lose like a whole stack or 800 or whatever. And when you're playing against these kinds of people, I wouldn't defend 6-2 suited. I wouldn't defend like 6-4 suited. It's just one of those spots where it kind of hurts because you're making so much money defending 6-4 suited here. But there's just no point. You might as well just wait. You don't want to be flopping second pair and just like check calling one and then check folding the turn. You want to be near the top of your range in basically every hand you play.
Okay.
You won't hear that advice from many people, including the high rollers. So if anyone disagrees, super fair enough. But that's how I feel about it. So in this kind of spot, what we did?
I bet here.
Yeah, good. It's just too high a likelihood that everyone's missed when everyone's checks. Nice.
Thank you very much.
Good. And if someone calls,
then just turn off the computer.
Yeah, just leave.
Yeah. Someone calls, they call. I mean, obviously, like if it bricks, the river bricks. I guess what you're saying is don't bluff much. So I would probably just give up.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those spots where, again, if you like overbet the river, if someone did call, you're printing money. Yeah. But it's just, you don't want to be putting your variance in someone else's hands, in the hands of someone that's probably very unpredictable, where he doesn't, sorry, my cat's out on the road, makes me kind of anxious sometimes when there's a car going. He's very streetwise, but still gets me. Yeah, you don't want to be putting your variance in someone else's hands when they might just feel like calling.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to like change from cash to tourney. That's a conscious thing at the moment. It's like, because when you asked me that question, I thought, well, I'm probably bluffing the river if it's like 2 of the clubs or whatever.
Sorry, say again.
But that's cash, not
bluffing the river.
So if it's cash game, I'm probably more likely to bluff the river.
Yeah, for sure. If it was a cash game there, I'd probably just like either a third pot or I'd overbet the river if it bricked out there.
Yeah.
A third, just because a lot of people read that as value and they usually have like pocket 8s there and they might be like, oh, he's probably got a 10. Or overbet there because they're pretty capped unless they have turn trips. Sorry for people that are watching and don't remember the board, but whatever. This is your coaching and I know you remember it. And if they don't have turn trips, they'll usually just fold anything there. So this defend here, this right here is a bad fend. 3x, 150 of your 1,500 chips, 10% put in with 9-8 offsuit out of position. Damn, against a guy with 8-9 in his name. What are you thinking? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Maybe if you saw the 8-9 in his name, you would have folded, but man, it's too late. 150.
If it said 9-8 and not 8-9, it'd be different. I don't know. Yeah, okay, fair.
Yeah, you just miss too much, and you know if you do hit, then you often hit like a straight draw, and then you got to fucking check call, and there's half your stack in the middle, and before you know it, you're just like, oh, I've got no chips.
Yeah.
So obviously in these kind of spots, you're not going to be following like 9-8 suited.
No.
Something like that, but you want to be playing real snug.
Okay.
Early on in the tournament that you're going to be playing, the Singo, whatever it is, you do want to be, 100 bigs deep. You want to be like set mining as much as possible. Just limp calling fucking any of your pocket pairs as long as or like your suit connectors and stuff like that, as long as it's not super obvious. Which it shouldn't be.
I tend to raise suited connectors like 9-8 suited under the gun is an open for me.
Yeah, usually for me too, but on these things you just want to be limping, in my opinion.
Even with over 100 bigs, 300 bigs.
Yeah, if everyone else has 100s and everyone else is probably going pretty mental, then yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no point like in raising under the gun. A lot of your equity comes from it just like folding around and getting a steal. Like not a lot, but like a decent proportion of it in comparison to other things.
And so, are you basically limp calling? Because the thing is
limp deciding, let's say.
Yeah, because if it goes limp and then there's like two other limpers and then someone isolates, then you're like obviously paying more than if you had opened yourself, if you had raised yourself.
Maybe, but at least we get the decision. And if they isolate to like 7x, just fold it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a better way to put the question. Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things. Again, it feels kind of counterintuitive because I don't want to fucking limp fold 9-8 suited. That seems like one of the worst things you could possibly do. But it just saves you being in any awkward spots. You have some pretty easy decisions, and usually you can get there pretty cheap. And especially if you're on a table where people aren't folding too much, there's like, and you're going to get like 3-bet a bunch, you're going to have to fold. It's just cheaper.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm in the cutoff, I'm opening it because there's fewer people that can spaz out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's some really interesting dynamics in low stakes Sinkos and tournaments around how loose or tight you're meant to be playing from early position versus late position. And generally it leans towards, especially once you start getting fold equity, you want to be playing really tight from early position and really loose from late position. And the reason for that is that these players, they're not really thinking about pot odds. They're not thinking about positions too much. They're thinking about what kind of hand have I got. So they're like, I've got ace jack off. I'm playing this fucking hand. I'm not sitting waiting for something better than ace jack off. That's ludicrous. Yeah. So even if you raise under the gun, they're on the cutoff. They're calling ace jack off because why not?
Yeah.
Which means that when you're raising under the gun, you have 8 potential ace jack offs to get through. For your still to get through, or for you to whatever, and you might end up going 4-way because there are lots of other hands that you can have. Whereas if you're raising on the button, you only have 2 people that might have ace jack off, and then they're probably going to be folding their 6-4 suited in the big blinds because they're like, well, it's 6-4 suited.
Mm-hmm.
I don't play 6-4 suited. That's not how I play poker.
Yeah.
So obviously that's not always black and white like that. There's a lot of players that play differently, but the general tendency, and you have to go with general tendencies if you don't have any further information on the players, is that people play big cards or like pretty looking hands, and they don't play their shitty looking hands from any position.
Yeah.
Which leans towards more loose late position and tight early position. So part of that, as I was just saying, goes back to just limping in early position because there's a lot of ace jack offs you have to get through.